The restaurant The Golden Spoon held hushed voices and expensive tastes. Waitresses moved silently, carrying expensive plates. Stella was one of them. She was young, her eyes often tired, but her spirit was strong. Each shift was a challenge. She worked hard to keep her small apartment and care for her younger sister. She moved quickly and quietly. Her uniform was always clean. Her smile was real, even when her feet hurt. This night felt different. A buzz went through the kitchen. A very special guest was coming. It wasn't just any rich customer. It was Mr. Arthur Caldwell. His name was in business papers and on TV news. He was a billionaire, a big name in business. Some said he started with nothing. Others whispered about his tough deals. Stella only knew he was a man who always got what he wanted. Mr. Jenkins, the restaurant manager, was a nervous man with slicked back hair. He gathered the staff. Mr. Jenkins said, "Listen, Mr. Caldwell will be here soon. He wants our best table, by the window. He expects perfect service. No mistakes. Not one." His eyes scanned the room, stopping on Stella. He pointed at her. "Mr. Jenkins said, Stella, you will serve his table. You are fast. You are quiet. Do not let me down." Stella nodded. A knot formed in her stomach. Serving rich people was normal. But Caldwell was different. His name carried much weight. The big wooden doors opened. A quiet fell over the room. Mr. Caldwell walked in. He was a tall man with gray hair. His sharp eyes missed nothing. He wore a suit worth more than Stella's life savings. He moved with quiet power, like a king entering his own place. He sat at the window table. His eyes looked over the fancy room, then outside at the city lights. Stella went to his table, a menu in her hand. Her heart beat faster. This was just another order. Just another rich man. Nothing special. She cleared her throat. Stella said, "Good evening, Mr. Caldwell. Welcome to the Golden Spoon. Can I get you a drink?" Mr. Caldwell's eyes slowly turned to her. They were a bright blue, holding a depth she couldn't quite place. He looked at her, not just times at times her, but times into times her, as if searching for something. A strange, knowing look crossed his face. His lips curved into a slight, almost hidden smile. It was a smile that held a lifetime of untold stories. A shiver ran down Stella's spine. It was a feeling she couldn't explain. Then he spoke. His voice was deep, calm, and strong. Arthur Caldwell said, "Thank you, young lady. But before I order, I have a question for you." He leaned forward slightly. His eyes never left hers. Arthur Caldwell said, "Tell me, do you believe in fate? Do you believe that some meetings are meant to be? Because I believe we have met before." Stella's breath caught in her throat. She stared at him, confused. She knew she had never met this famous billionaire. Or had she? His words hung in the air, a puzzle with missing pieces. She felt a strange pull, a sense that a hidden door was about to open. What past could they possibly share? What secret was he hinting at? And what would his next words reveal about a connection no one, not even Stella, ever expected? You see a powerful man and a simple waitress. But what if their paths crossed long before this moment, in a way that would change everything? What did you think? Stella stood frozen. Her mind raced, trying to search through her memories. A billionaire? A man this famous? She had never been to a fancy party. She had never worked in a rich family's home. Her life was simple, a constant struggle. She served coffee and food. She certainly had not met him asterisk. Stella said, "Mr. Caldwell, I don't think so. I would surely remember meeting someone like you." Her voice was soft, unsure. Arthur Caldwell chuckled. A low, gentle sound. Arthur Caldwell said, "Perhaps you would, young lady. Or perhaps not. Sometimes, the most important meetings are the ones we least expect. They are often disguised as small moments, He leaned back in his chair, watching her with that same knowing look. Arthur Caldwell said, "You have a kindness in your eyes, Stella. A spirit that seems familiar." The way he said her name, Stella, made it sound like a memory. It wasn't formal like Miss. It was personal. She felt a strange shiver again. Stella searched his face for a clue. Was he playing a game? Or was there a real connection she couldn't see? She felt an odd sense of warmth from his gaze, not like a customer judging service, but like someone looking at a familiar face. Stella remembered her life. It was filled with work. She worked at the Golden Spoon. But before that, she worked at a small diner downtown. Before that, she cleaned offices. Always working, always moving. She had no time for grand meetings. Her past was full of small jobs, of helping her younger sister, Lily. Lily was everything to her. Stella needed every penny. Arthur Caldwell picked up the menu. He didn't look at it. He just held it. Arthur Caldwell said, "There was a small café once. A long time ago. Nothing like this place. Just a simple diner with good coffee and kind people." His voice was distant, as if he was talking to a memory. Arthur Caldwell said, "A place where a simple act of kindness could change a very bad day." Stella's mind flickered. A small diner? She had worked at a few of those. One in particular came to mind, Ruby's Diner. A place with red booths and a counter where truckers and office workers ate. She had worked there for 2 years, serving endless cups of coffee and plates of eggs. It was a long time ago, when she was barely out of high school. He put the menu down. His blue eyes met hers again. Arthur Caldwell said, "This place, the Golden Spoon, it has luxury, but some places have heart. And heart is much rarer." He paused. Arthur Caldwell said, "Have you ever found yourself in a place, a moment, where you felt completely alone? Like the world had turned its back on you?" His question was soft, but it held a heavy weight. It was a question that seemed to reach directly into Stella's own past struggles. It made her wonder, what terrible moment was he remembering? And how could it possibly involve her? What was he truly looking for in her eyes? Stella nodded slowly, her mind drifting back to the hardest times in her life. She knew that feeling too well. The feeling of being small, alone, and invisible. She had felt it after her parents passed away, leaving her and Lily to fend for themselves. She had felt it many times, struggling to pay bills, facing landlords who didn't care. Stella said, "Yes, Mr. Caldwell, I know that feeling." Her voice was barely a whisper. Arthur Caldwell's gaze softened. Arthur Caldwell said, "It's a tough feeling, isn't it? To be at rock bottom, to feel like hope has abandoned you." He picked up his water glass, turning it slowly. Arthur Caldwell said, "I remember a day like that. Many years ago. A day when everything I had built came crashing down." He paused, his eyes now looking out the window at the distant city lights. It was as if he was seeing a different city, a city from his past. Stella stood silently, holding her breath, completely drawn into his story. This wasn't just a rich man talking. This was a man sharing a deep wound. Arthur Caldwell continued. Arthur Caldwell said, "I was much younger then. I had poured everything into a new business. Every penny, every hour. And it failed. Horribly. I lost it all. My partners left. My investors pulled out. I was left with nothing but debt and a broken spirit." He took a deep breath. Arthur Caldwell said, "I felt like a ghost, walking through a world that no longer recognized me." Stella listened, a strange sense of empathy rising within her. She understood loss. She understood starting over. Arthur Caldwell's words painted a vivid picture of despair, even for a man who now had everything. It showed that even the most powerful people could fall. Arthur Caldwell turned his eyes back to Stella. A small, sad smile touched his lips. Arthur Caldwell said, "On that day, I walked aimlessly. I ended up in a small diner. It was late. The rain was coming down hard. I had no money for food, no place to go. I just sat at the counter, watching the drops race down the window. Stella's mind clicked. Ruby's diner. Rainy night. Late. She remembered many nights like that. Working the late shift. Watching the rain. Could it be? Her heart began to beat even faster. This story was beginning to sound very, very familiar. Arthur Caldwell said, "The waitress working that night, she was young, like you. She had a kind face, even though her eyes looked tired. She saw me. She saw past my wet clothes and my sad face. She saw something else." He looked at Stella, a direct, piercing gaze. Arthur Caldwell said, "She saw a human being who needed help." Stella's hand trembled slightly as she held her notepad. She remembered a night, a very wet night, a man, sitting alone. She remembered his sadness. It was a memory that had stayed with her, a small moment of quiet strength. What would he say next? What act of kindness was he about to describe? The air in the expensive restaurant suddenly felt electric with a past that was about to burst into the present. What secret act was about to connect them across time and status? Stella's breath hitched. She remembered that night with perfect clarity. The man had looked utterly lost, defeated. She remembered feeling a pang in her chest, a deep sympathy for him. She had seen too many broken people in her life not to recognize the look. He was soaked to the bone, shivering, and wouldn't even meet her eyes. Arthur Caldwell continued, his voice softer now, almost a whisper. Arthur Caldwell said, "I remember I had just enough change for a cup of coffee. I ordered it, hoping it would warm my hands, if not my soul. But I couldn't even bring myself to drink it." He looked at Stella, a ghost of a smile on his face. Arthur Caldwell said, "That young waitress. She brought me the coffee. Then, a few minutes later, she came back with a plate of hot food. A full meal. Eggs. Bacon. Toast." Stella felt a blush creep up her neck. Yes, she had done that. It was against the diner's rules to give away food. But the man looked so hungry, so empty. She couldn't just stand by. She had told the cook it was for her break. It was a risk, a small act of rebellion born of compassion. Arthur Caldwell's eyes held hers. Arthur Caldwell said, "I told her I couldn't pay for it. I told her I didn't have any money. I was ashamed." His voice was filled with the pain of that moment. Arthur Caldwell said, "She just smiled. She said, 'It's on the house tonight, sir. Everyone deserves a hot meal once in a while.'" Stella remembered her words perfectly. She had kept her voice light, as if it were no big deal. She didn't want him to feel worse than he already did. She had just seen a person in need, and she had done what she felt was right. It was a simple act, a small one, but it meant a lot to her that he remembered it. Arthur Caldwell closed his eyes for a moment, as if reliving the taste of that food, the warmth of that small gesture. Arthur Caldwell said, "That meal, it wasn't just food. It was hope. It was a sign that not everyone had forgotten me, that some kindness still existed in the world." He opened his eyes, now shining with a deep emotion. Arthur Caldwell said, "It gave me the strength to go on, to try again, to rebuild." Stella felt tears prick her own eyes. She hadn't known the impact of her small act. She had just thought of it as a moment of helping someone. She never imagined it would be remembered by a billionaire, let alone be the turning point in his life. The weight of his words settled over her, a beautiful, unexpected burden. Arthur Caldwell leaned across the table. His voice was firm now, full of certainty. Arthur Caldwell said, "I searched for that waitress. For years. I went back to that diner countless times, but she was never there. I wanted to thank her, to tell her what that single meal meant to me." He looked intently at Stella. Arthur Caldwell said, "And then tonight, I walked into this grand restaurant, and I saw you. And something in your eyes, in your quiet strength, told me I had found her." Stella couldn't speak. It was her. He remembered her. The small, forgotten act of kindness had returned, years later, carried by the very man she had helped. The rich restaurant, the expensive food, the powerful billionaire, all faded away. It was just Stella, the waitress, and Arthur Caldwell, the grateful man, sharing a memory that bridged two vastly different worlds. What would happen now that he had found her? What would this unexpected reunion mean for Stella's struggling life? What was he truly going to say? Stella found her voice, though it was still shaky. Stella said, I just did what anyone would do, Mr. Caldwell. You looked like you needed it. She downplayed it, a natural response to such intense gratitude. The idea that this powerful man had been searching for her times was unbelievable. Arthur Caldwell shook his head. Arthur Caldwell said, No, Stella, not everyone would do it. Many people would have looked away. Many people would have followed the rules. But you didn't. You saw a person, not a problem. You offered kindness when I had nothing left. His voice was firm, filled with deep respect. Arthur Caldwell said, That night, you showed me that humanity still existed. You saved more than just a meal. You saved a spirit. Mr. Jenkins, the manager, walked by the table, glancing at them with a frown. He saw Stella still talking to Mr. Caldwell. Instead of taking his order, he hated when staff lingered. Mr. Jenkins said, Stella, Mr. Caldwell is waiting to order. Stop chatting and do your job. His voice was low but sharp, designed to embarrass her. Stella flinched, her cheeks burning. She quickly picked up the menu. Stella said, I'm sorry, Mr. Caldwell. What can I get for you this evening? She tried to act normal, to push away the sudden awkwardness. She felt small again, just a waitress being scolded. Arthur Caldwell's gaze hardened as he watched Jenkins walk away. A flicker of anger crossed his face, quickly replaced by a calm, controlled expression. He turned back to Stella, his eyes once again soft, but with a new intensity. Arthur Caldwell said, Stella, I told you I've been looking for you. And now that I've found you, I can't let this moment pass. He reached into his inner jacket pocket and pulled out a small, elegant business card. It was thick, with raised lettering. He placed it on the table, sliding it towards her. Arthur Caldwell said, This is my personal card. I want you to call this number tomorrow morning. Stella looked at the card, then back at him, utterly bewildered. She took the card, her fingers brushing against the smooth, expensive paper. It felt like something important, something far beyond her world. What could a billionaire want from a waitress? Arthur Caldwell continued, his voice clear and serious. Arthur Caldwell said, I have a proposal for you, Stella. An offer that I believe you deserve. An offer that could change your life. He looked directly into her eyes, conveying a sense of genuine purpose. Arthur Caldwell said, It's an offer to pay back a kindness, many times over. Because that's what true gratitude means. Stella stared at the card in her hand, then at the powerful man across from her. Her mind spun. An offer? Change her life? What kind of offer could a man like him make to someone like her? The restaurant hummed around them, but to Stella, everything else faded away. This wasn't just a simple thank you. This was something far greater, something she couldn't possibly imagine. What amazing opportunity was about to be laid at her feet? What twist of fate was this encounter setting in motion? Her future, for the first time in a long time, felt wide open, full of untold possibilities. Stella's mind raced. An offer from Time's Arthur Caldwell asterisk? It felt unreal, like a dream. She looked at the elegant business card, his name printed boldly. She had served billionaires before, but none had ever spoken to her like this, let alone offered anything more than a generous tip. This was different. This was personal. Stella tried to ask a question, but her voice failed her. Arthur Caldwell seemed to understand. Arthur Caldwell said, Don't try to understand it all right now, Stella. Just trust me. Call the number. We'll talk more then. He gave her a reassuring nod, a warmth in his eyes that calmed her racing heart slightly. Just then, Mr. Jenkins returned. He had seen the business card. His eyes narrowed, a mix of curiosity and annoyance on his face. Mr. Jenkins said, Stella, have you taken Mr. Caldwell's order yet? We have other customers waiting. His voice was sharper this time, a clear warning. He looked at the card in her hand, then at Mr. Caldwell, a question in his gaze. Arthur Caldwell turned his cold, sharp eyes on Mr. Jenkins. The warmth he had shown Stella vanished, replaced by a steely look of command. Arthur Caldwell said, She has done her job perfectly, Mr. Jenkins. In fact, she has done more than her job. And your tone is entirely uncalled for. His voice was quiet, but it held the weight of absolute power. Mr. Jenkins visibly flinched. He hadn't expected the billionaire to defend a waitress. His face turned pale. Mr. Jenkins said, My apologies, Mr. Caldwell. I merely wished to ensure your service was prompt. He stammered, trying to recover. Arthur Caldwell didn't let up. Arthur Caldwell said, Service is not merely promptness, Mr. Jenkins. It is respect. It is empathy. Qualities that seem to be lacking in your management style. The words hung in the air, heavy with unspoken criticism. Stella watched the exchange, a mix of shock and a strange kind of pride filling her. No one had ever defended her against Jenkins before. It felt like a shield, protecting her from his usual harshness. It showed her a new side of Mr. Caldwell, a fierce protectiveness. Arthur Caldwell then turned back to Stella, his expression softening again. Arthur Caldwell said, Now, Stella, for my order. I would like the chef's special, please, and a glass of your finest sparkling water. He gave her a small, knowing smile. Arthur Caldwell said, And please, take your time. There's no rush tonight. Stella nodded, still a little stunned. She scribbled down his order, her hand still trembling slightly. She walked towards the kitchen, the business card clutched in her hand. The weight of it felt heavy, full of unknown futures. Mr. Jenkins watched her go, a baffled, worried look on his face. As she passed through the kitchen door, she glanced back at Mr. Caldwell. He was watching her, a quiet, satisfied smile on his face. The restaurant suddenly felt like a stage, and she was at the center of a play she didn't fully understand. The billionaire, the waitress, the manager's sudden fear, everything was connected to that one act of kindness years ago. What consequences would Jenkins face for his disrespect? And what exactly did Arthur Caldwell's offer truly mean for Stella? The answer awaited her call, a call that would surely change everything. Stella made it through the rest of her shift in a daze. The business card felt like a burning coal in her pocket. Every time she touched it, she felt a jolt of disbelief, then a flicker of hope. She kept replaying the conversation in her head. Mr. Caldwell's words, his expression, Mr. Jenkins's sudden fear. It was all so surreal. When her shift ended, she changed quickly, eager to escape the heavy atmosphere of the restaurant. Mr. Jenkins avoided her gaze, his face still pale. He usually had a sharp comment for her, but tonight he was silent, clearly shaken by Mr. Caldwell's words. Stella hurried home to her small, worn apartment. Lily, her younger sister, was already asleep on the couch, curled up with a worn blanket. Stella gently moved her to her bed. Lily was the reason Stella worked so hard, the reason she often put her own dreams aside. Lily deserved a better life. Stella sat at her tiny kitchen table, the single light bulb casting a dim glow. She pulled out the business card. It felt heavier now. She traced the letters of Arthur Caldwell Enterprises. This wasn't just a rich man. This was a man who owned companies, who shaped industries. What could he possibly want with her? She thought about her life. The endless shifts, the constant worry about money, the fear of not being able to provide for Lily. She dreamed of going back to school, of a future where she didn't have to carry trays of food for people who barely saw her. But those dreams felt impossible. Hesitation crept in. Was this a trick? A cruel joke? Billionaires didn't just hand out life-changing offers to waitresses. It seemed too good to be true. But then she remembered his eyes, the genuine warmth and gratitude. It didn't feel like a joke. It felt real. She looked at the clock. It was too late to call tonight. The card said, "Call tomorrow morning." She took a deep breath. She would call. She had to. For Lily, for herself, for the small spark of hope that had suddenly ignited in her chest. The next morning, Stella woke early. She paced her small living room, the business card clutched in her hand. Her heart thumped against her ribs. She was nervous, excited, and still a little disbelieving. She looked at Lily, still sleeping peacefully. This call could change everything for them. She picked up her old phone. Her finger hovered over the numbers on the card. This was it. This was the moment. She pressed the buttons, her hand shaking slightly. The phone rang once, twice. Then a polite female voice answered. Female voice said, "Arthur Caldwell Enterprises. How may I help you?" Stella took another deep breath. Stella said, "Hello. My name is Stella. I was asked to call Mr. Caldwell this morning." Her voice was soft, but steady. What would happen next? Would they dismiss her? Or was this really the start of something new, something grand and unexpected? The answer was just a moment away, a turning point that would define her future. The woman on the other end of the line was polite and efficient. Female voice said, "One moment, please. I'll connect you." Stella's heart pounded. She imagined grand offices, busy people, a world so different from her own. She waited, listening to the soft music on hold. It felt like an eternity. Then, a familiar deep voice came through the phone. Arthur Caldwell said, "Stella? I'm so glad you called." His voice was warm, just as it had been last night at the restaurant, but now it held a new tone of business. Stella felt a wave of relief. It wasn't a joke. It was real. Stella said, "Good morning, Mr. Caldwell. Thank you for giving me your number." She felt a bit overwhelmed, unsure of what to say. Arthur Caldwell chuckled softly. Arthur Caldwell said, "No, Stella. Thank times you asterisk. Now, let's get down to business. Can you come to my office today? Say, at 10 a.m.? I'd like to talk to you in person about this offer." Stella's eyes widened. His office? Today? Her mind raced. She would have to call in sick to the Golden Spoon. Mr. Jenkins would be furious. But this was more important. Much more important. Stella said, "Yes, Mr. Caldwell. I can be there." Arthur Caldwell said, "Excellent. My assistant will email you the address and directions. It's in the downtown tower. Just tell the reception desk you have an appointment with me." Arthur Caldwell said, "I look forward to seeing you, Stella." With that, the call ended. Stella slowly lowered the phone. She had an appointment with a billionaire. In his tower. It felt like something out of a movie. She quickly called the Golden Spoon, leaving a message that she was unwell. She felt a pang of guilt, but the excitement quickly pushed it away. This was her chance. An email arrived quickly, with precise instructions. The address was for the tallest building in the city, a glass tower that looked like it touched the sky. Stella spent an hour going through her small wardrobe. She picked out her best, though still simple, dress. It was a dark blue, clean, and pressed. She wanted to look respectful, serious. She left Lily with a neighbor, telling her she had a job interview. She didn't want to get Lily's hopes up too soon. As she rode the bus downtown, she looked up at the towering glass building, her stomach churning with nerves and excitement. This was a world she only saw from the outside, a world of power and money. She walked into the lobby. It was grand, marble floors, high ceilings, polished chrome. A uniformed security guard directed her to the reception desk. The woman at the desk looked up, her expression polite but cool. Receptionist said, "May I help you?" Stella took a deep breath. Stella said, "Yes, I have an appointment with Mr. Caldwell. My name is Stella." She tried to keep her voice steady, to project a confidence she didn't quite feel. This was it. The moment she would learn what this incredible offer truly was. What could it be? A job? A scholarship? Or something completely unexpected that would rewrite her entire future? The doors to a new life were about to open. The receptionist, a poised woman with perfect hair, typed Stella's name into her computer. Her cool expression softened slightly. Receptionist said, "Ah, yes, Miss Stella. Mr. Caldwell is expecting you. Please take the express elevator to the top floor. His assistant, Miss Davies, will meet you there." Stella thanked her and walked towards the sleek, shining elevator. She stepped inside, feeling a mix of awe and nervousness. The elevator whisked her upwards, faster than any she had ever been in, carrying her higher and higher above the entire city, towards the very top of Arthur Caldwell's empire. When the doors opened, she stepped into a beautifully decorated waiting area. Soft lighting, rich carpets, and a wall of windows offering a breathtaking view of the city. A woman with a kind smile, Miss Davies, stood to greet her. "Miss Davies said, Stella, welcome. Mr. Caldwell is just finishing a call. He'll be with you in a moment." Stella nodded, feeling a strange calm settling over her. She sat on a plush sofa, looking out at the city spread below. It felt like she was on top of the world, literally. She thought about Lily, about their small apartment, about her endless shifts. Could this truly be a turning point? A few minutes later, Miss Davies returned. "Miss Davies said, Mr. Caldwell is ready for you now, Stella." She led Stella down a quiet hallway to a large, impressive office. One wall was entirely glass, looking out over the city. Arthur Caldwell stood by the window, his back to them, watching the world below. He turned as they entered, a warm smile spreading across his face. Arthur Caldwell said, "Stella, thank you for coming." He gestured to a comfortable chair facing his large desk. Arthur Caldwell said, "Please, make yourself comfortable." Miss Davies quietly left the room, closing the door behind her. Stella sat, feeling a little overwhelmed by the sheer size and luxury of the office. Arthur Caldwell walked over and sat in his own chair behind the desk. He leaned forward slightly, his blue eyes kind and serious. Arthur Caldwell said, "Stella, I've thought a lot about what I want to offer you. It's not just a thank you, although that's certainly part of it. It's about recognizing true character. You helped me when I was at my lowest point, with no expectation of reward. That kind of selfless kindness is rare, and it's something I value above all else." He paused, his gaze steady on hers. Arthur Caldwell said, "I told you I was looking for you for years. When I couldn't find you at the diner, I even made inquiries. I wanted to help you, just as you had helped me." Stella listened, her heart aching with the weight of his words. He had truly cared, truly searched. It wasn't just a fleeting thought for him. Arthur Caldwell continued, his voice firm and clear. Arthur Caldwell said, "So, my offer is this, Stella. I want to fully fund your education, whatever you choose to study. Not just tuition, but living expenses, books, everything you need. You will never have to worry about money again. You can focus entirely on learning, on building the life you truly want." What an incredible gift. What would this mean for Lily, for her own forgotten dreams? The generosity was staggering, almost too much to comprehend. This was a chance at a completely new future. Stella gasped. The words hung in the air, echoing in her mind. Fully fund her education? Whatever she chose? Living expenses? It was beyond anything she could have imagined. Her dreams of going back to school, dreams she had buried deep down, suddenly felt real, tangible. Tears welled up in her eyes. Stella said, "Mr. Caldwell, I don't know what to say. It's too much." Her voice trembled with emotion. She couldn't believe this was happening. Arthur Caldwell smiled kindly. Arthur Caldwell said, "It's not too much, Stella. It's an investment in a good person, a bright mind, a compassionate heart. You deserve this chance." He paused. Arthur Caldwell said, "But that's not all. I also want to ensure your sister, Lily, is taken care of. Her education, her future, will also be secured." This time, Stella couldn't hold back the tears. They streamed down her face. Not just for her, but for Lily too. Her little sister, who she had tried so hard to protect and provide for. Now, Lily's future was also secure. It was a weight lifted from her shoulders that she hadn't even realized she was carrying. Stella said, You don't know what this means. For both of us. Thank you. Thank you so much." She felt overwhelmed, humbled, and deeply, deeply grateful. Arthur Caldwell simply nodded. Arthur Caldwell said, "I have one more offer, Stella. It's more of a long-term proposal. After you finish your education, if you're interested, I would like to offer you a position within Arthur Caldwell Enterprises. Not as a secretary or an assistant, but in a role where your intelligence and unique perspective can truly make a difference. Perhaps in our charity division, or even in a leadership role. Once you've gained experience." Stella's mind reeled. An education times and times a future career path in a major company? It was a complete transformation of her life. She looked out at the city from his towering office, seeing it now not as an unreachable world, but as a place where she could truly belong, where she could make her own mark. Arthur Caldwell leaned back, a look of quiet satisfaction on his face. Arthur Caldwell said, "Consider it a long-delayed thank you, Stella, and a belief in your potential." Stella wiped her eyes, taking a deep, shaky breath. Stella said, "I accept, Mr. Caldwell, with all my heart. I won't let you down." She meant it. She would work harder than ever, not just for herself, but to honor his faith in her. Arthur Caldwell said, "I never doubted you would. Now, let's talk details. We'll get you set up with a university counselor, explore your interests, and we'll make sure Lily has everything she needs." He picked up a pen, a clear sign that this was not just talk, but a plan already in motion. Stella listened as he outlined the next steps, the practical details of this new, amazing life. It felt like stepping into a dream. The kindness she had shown years ago had returned to her, magnified 1,000 times. The simple act of providing a hot meal had indeed changed not one, but 2 lives forever. What would Stella choose to study? What kind of leader would she become? The story of the small waitress was just beginning, blossoming into a future she had never dared to imagine. The next few weeks were a whirlwind for Stella. She officially resigned from the Golden Spoon. Mr. Jenkins was shocked. He tried to question her, but Stella simply stated she had found a new opportunity. She didn't reveal any details, simply offered a polite farewell. Mr. Jenkins watched her go, a baffled and perhaps worried look on his face. With Mr. Caldwell's help, Stella met with a university counselor. She felt a thrill of excitement as she explored different fields of study. She had always loved reading and learning, but life had gotten in the way. Now, the world of knowledge was open to her. She decided to pursue a degree in business administration, with a focus on nonprofit management. She wanted to use her kindness to help others. Just as she had been helped, Lily's future was also secured. Mr. Caldwell arranged for her to attend a highly rated private school. He also set up a trust fund for her future education. Stella watched Lily's face light up when she told her the news. Lily's bright eyes, once shadowed by their struggles, now sparkled with pure joy. It was a moment Stella would never forget. Stella found a new apartment, a much nicer one with 2 bedrooms, closer to the university. It had sunshine, a small balcony, and a sense of peace she hadn't known in years. She furnished it simply but comfortably, turning it into a real home. It was a place where she and Lily could finally feel safe and thrive. She started her classes. It was challenging, sometimes overwhelming, but Stella was determined. She studied late into the night, absorbing every lecture, every textbook. She discovered a passion for business ethics, for finding ways to make companies not just profitable, but also responsible and caring. Mr. Caldwell kept in touch. He would sometimes call, just to check in, or invite her to coffee to discuss her studies. He was a mentor, a guide, but also a friend. He never treated her like an employee or someone he had rescued. He treated her as an equal, a future leader. Stella blossomed. Her tired eyes brightened, replaced by a spark of intelligence and confidence. Her quiet grace turned into a quiet strength. She made new friends, people who didn't know her past as a struggling waitress, but saw her as the smart, driven woman she was becoming. Life was good, better than she had ever dared to dream. She often thought about that rainy night at Ruby's diner, the simple plate of food, the small act of kindness. It had been a tiny pebble dropped into a vast ocean, creating ripples that had now become waves, carrying her to a new shore. As she walked across the university campus, surrounded by students, she felt a profound sense of gratitude. She was no longer just a waitress trying to survive. She was a student, a future leader, and a woman building a better life for herself and her sister. But what about Mr. Jenkins? What became of the manager who had so carelessly dismissed her? And how would the world react to Stella's incredible transformation? The story was far from over. Her journey was just beginning. Life had changed dramatically for Stella, but the memory of her past, and especially Mr. Jenkins's harshness, remained. She knew that some people, like Jenkins, often looked down on others based on their jobs or status. She wondered what had happened to him after Mr. Caldwell's stern words that night. A few months later, Stella received an unexpected message from an old coworker at the Golden Spoon. It was from Maria, a kind older waitress who had always been friendly to Stella. Maria said, "Stella, I hope you're doing well. Things at the Spoon are different." Maria explained that after Mr. Caldwell's visit, Mr. Jenkins had been placed on a strict probation. The restaurant owner, a shrewd businessman named Mr. Harrison, had learned about Mr. Caldwell's complaints. Mr. Harrison understood that a bad manager could drive away important customers. Maria said, Jenkins was forced to change his ways. He had to attend management training. He had to be nicer to the staff. It was a complete change for him, believe me. Stella felt a strange mix of satisfaction and pity. It seemed Mr. Caldwell's words had indeed carried weight. Then, Maria shared even bigger news. Maria said, but it didn't last. A few weeks ago, another important customer, a friend of Mr. Caldwell, came in. Jenkins was rude to him too, just like his old self. And that was it. Stella's heart sank a little. Some people, it seemed, couldn't truly change. Maria continued. Maria said, Mr. Harrison found out. He fired Jenkins on the spot. Said he couldn't risk the reputation of the restaurant for a manager who couldn't show basic respect. So, Mr. Jenkins had faced his own reversal of fortune. His arrogance and disrespect had finally cost him his job. Stella knew it wasn't about revenge, but about justice. His behavior had been wrong, and eventually, the consequences caught up to him. Stella also learned that Maria herself had been promoted to assistant manager. Maria said, I'm working hard, Stella, trying to make it a better place for everyone. Stella was genuinely happy for Maria, a woman who truly deserved the promotion. It was good to know that kindness and hard work could still be rewarded. The news reinforced Stella's belief in the power of good actions. Her small act of kindness years ago had set off a chain of events. It not only uplifted her own life, but also led to justice in a place where she had once felt powerless. Stella continued her studies, more motivated than ever. She knew that her journey was a testament to the idea that a single act of compassion could echo through time, changing lives in profound and unexpected ways. She was building her future, fueled by gratitude and a renewed sense of purpose. But her connection to Mr. Caldwell would lead to even bigger surprises. What hidden plans did Arthur Caldwell have for Stella's future, beyond just her education and a job? What challenges and triumphs still awaited her? The story of Stella, the compassionate waitress, was just gaining speed. Years passed. Stella excelled in her studies. She graduated with honors, her name listed among the top students in her class. Lily was thriving in her new school, a bright and happy child. Their lives had changed completely, all thanks to that one rainy night and a plate of food. True to his word, Arthur Caldwell offered Stella a position at Arthur Caldwell Enterprises. She started in the charitable foundation, focusing on community outreach and educational programs for underprivileged youth. Her natural empathy and sharp mind made her a standout. She quickly rose through the ranks. Stella loved her work. She was helping people, making a real difference. She designed programs that provided scholarships for talented students from low-income families. Remembering her own struggles, she organized food drives and built community centers, always thinking of the Ruby's Diners of the world. Arthur Caldwell watched her progress with pride. He often said that Stella was the best investment he had ever made. He saw in her not just a brilliant mind, but a moral compass that guided every decision. He trusted her completely. One afternoon, Arthur Caldwell called Stella into his office. He looked a little more tired than usual, his silver hair a bit thinner. He invited her to sit, his gaze serious. Arthur Caldwell said, "Stella, as you know, I'm not getting any younger. My health isn't what it used to be." Stella felt a pang of worry. She had grown to care for Arthur Caldwell deeply. He was like a father figure, a mentor, and a true friend. Arthur Caldwell continued. Arthur Caldwell said, "I've been thinking about the future of Arthur Caldwell Enterprises. My children, they have their own paths. They're not interested in running the company, not in the way it needs to be run." He paused, looking out at the city view. He turned back to Stella, his blue eyes holding a profound sincerity. Arthur Caldwell said, "Stella, you have proven yourself time and time again. Your business sense, your integrity, your compassion, they are exactly what this company needs. You embody the values I always tried to build this empire upon." Stella listened, her heart beating fast. She had a feeling where this was going, but it seemed too grand, too unbelievable. Arthur Caldwell took a deep breath. Arthur Caldwell said, "I want to make you my successor, Stella. I want to appoint you as the next CEO of Arthur Caldwell Enterprises. I want to leave my legacy in your capable hands." The words hit Stella like a wave. CEO of Times Empire? The powerful corporation she had once only seen from afar, from the window of the Golden Spoon? It was an unimaginable leap, from a waitress struggling to make ends meet to leading a global company. Stella felt a mix of shock, immense honor, and a touch of fear. It was an enormous responsibility. Arthur Caldwell saw her expression. Arthur Caldwell said, "You are ready, Stella. More than ready. You have already changed my world. Now, I believe you can change the world for countless others." What an incredible journey she had taken. From serving meals to making global decisions, her life had truly come full circle. But how would she step into such a role? What challenges would she face as a young woman leading such a vast enterprise? The ultimate test of her character was yet to come. Stella was speechless. The CEO position. It was the highest honor. The ultimate trust. She remembered being a young waitress, feeling invisible, struggling to survive. Now, she was being asked to lead a company that shaped entire industries. It was overwhelming. Stella said, "Mr. Caldwell, I don't know what to say. It's an incredible honor, but such a huge responsibility." She felt the weight of it. The countless employees, the massive impact of the company's decisions. Arthur Caldwell nodded. Arthur Caldwell said, "It is, Stella. And I know you can handle it. I've watched you grow. Watched you lead with both intelligence and heart. That's a rare combination." He leaned forward, his voice softer. Arthur Caldwell said, "I trust you implicitly. And I believe in you, just as you believed in me that rainy night." Stella looked at him, seeing not just the powerful billionaire, but the kind man who had given her a second chance. She took a deep breath. Stella said, "Then I accept, Mr. Caldwell. I will do everything in my power to honor your trust and your legacy." A genuine smile spread across Arthur Caldwell's face. Arthur Caldwell said, "That's all I could ever ask for, Stella. Now, let's begin the transition. It won't be easy, but you'll have my full support and the support of the entire executive team." Over the next few months, Stella worked closely with Arthur Caldwell. She learned every detail of the company, from its complex finances to its global operations. She met with department heads, with investors, and with employees at every level. She immersed herself in the world of corporate leadership. Some people in the company were surprised by her rapid rise. A few whispered about her past, about her not being from a traditional corporate background. But Stella didn't let it deter her. She met skepticism with competence, kindness with firm resolve. She proved herself through hard work and clear vision. When the official announcement was made, it sent ripples through the business world. A young woman, with a humble background, appointed CEO of Arthur Caldwell Enterprises. It was a story that captured headlines. A true Cinderella tale. Stella gave her first press conference as CEO. She stood at the podium, confident and poised. She spoke not just of profits and growth, but of social responsibility, of ethical leadership, and of giving back to the community. She spoke of how even a small act of praise and kindness could change the world. She never forgot where she came from. She ensured the charitable foundation grew, funding more scholarships, opening more community centers, just like the one she had envisioned. She made sure that no one in her company felt invisible, just as she once had. Lily, now a young woman, was incredibly proud of her sister. She was attending a top university, pursuing her own dreams. Inspired by Stella's journey, Stella often visited Arthur Caldwell in his retirement. They would share coffee, just like he had ordered that night at the Golden Spoon, and talk about the company, about life. He would always end their conversations with a grateful smile. Arthur Caldwell said, "You truly remembered me, Stella, and in doing so, you found yourself." Stella, the former waitress, now a powerful CEO, understood it completely. Her journey was a testament to the idea that integrity, compassion, and a simple act of human connection could truly change everything. Her life was a vibrant example of how fate could intertwine two vastly different paths, leading to a destiny more extraordinary than anyone could ever imagine. What an amazing transformation! What lessons can we learn from Stella's incredible story of rising from humility to lead an empire? Stella's time as CEO was a time of great change for Arthur Caldwell Enterprises. She led with a clear vision. She believed that a company could be both strong and kind. She showed that businesses could make money and also do good for the world. One of her first big projects was to expand the company's charity work. She remembered the feeling of being hungry and alone. So, She started a program to help small, local diners and cafes in struggling neighborhoods. These places would get money to offer free meals to people in need, just like she had done at Ruby's Diner. She named this program the Golden Heart Initiative. It grew quickly. Many people praised Stella for her ideas. They saw that she truly cared. Her actions brought good press and respect to the company. It showed that business could have a conscience. Stella also worked to make the company a better place for its employees. She made sure everyone felt valued. She set up training programs and mentorships. She remembered how Mr. Jenkins had treated her. She wanted to create a workplace where respect was key, no matter your job title. She often walked through the company offices, talking to people, listening to their ideas. She wasn't just a boss in a corner office. She was a leader who connected with everyone. Her background, once seen as a weakness by some, became her greatest strength. She understood the struggles of everyday people. One day, she returned to Ruby's Diner. It was still there, older but still serving comfort food. She sat at the same counter where Arthur Caldwell had once Saturday. She ordered coffee, just like he had. The diner was busy, full of people from all walks of life. She looked around, remembering her younger self. The waitress working that day was young, with tired but kind eyes. Stella smiled. She remembered how a simple meal had changed a man's life, and in turn, her own. She left a very generous tip, much more than the cost of her coffee. As she walked out, she paused at the door. She looked back at the diner, then up at the towering glass building where her office now was. The distance between those two places was immense, a journey of fate, kindness, and hard work. Stella knew her story was special. It was a powerful example of how one small act of goodness can grow into something huge. It showed that compassion can change a life, build an empire, and inspire the world. Her leadership was a living testament to Arthur Caldwell's faith in her and to the enduring power of human connection. What lasting legacy would Stella build? What other lives would she touch with her golden heart? Her journey from a humble waitress to a visionary CEO was a story that would inspire for common generations.